Welcome back to the session. Now we will see secondary divisions or secondary classification of surveying. In that, first I have mentioned in the last class, first classification, there is no exact first, second, third, fourth order, anything you can write. So as I mentioned, first I am going to write the classification based on instruments used in survey. Okay, so first based on the instruments, generally we use some minor instrument and major instruments in the surveying. So based on the instruments, we have the classification where the first one is, in this we have classification that is chain surveying, then compass surveying, so I don't want to write total. Next, leveling, theodolite survey, tachyometric survey, plane table survey, photogrammetry, electronic distance measurement survey, so we can also call this one as EDM, electronic distance measurement survey. So we have some other surveying classification. They are total station survey, and aerial survey. So it's better to not write aerial. Why? Because this aerial survey can also be included in photogrammetry. So now I would like to give you the introduction regarding this particular classification based on the instruments. So when we go chain surveying, when I look into the chain surveying, as the classification itself named that it is based on the instruments used. So generally we have some instruments that we use in different types of surveying. So they are chain, compass, level, theodolite, tachyometer, plane table, photogrammetry, electronic distance measurement device. Total station is also one device for the surveying. So where aerial survey will come under photogrammetry. Okay. So see here, each and every individual type of survey, it includes some minor instruments, but apart from this, we call them as the major instruments. So that is why we have the name based on the major instruments. So first I am going to take the chain surveying topic. First, suppose this type of survey is really very important, where we want to measure the length, breadth of an object or of a particular plot over the ground level. We just go through this chain surveying, where we use chain for the measurement of horizontal and inclined distances over the ground. For suppose let us take this particular board is the ground surface. So under ground surface in x direction I can measure a distance, in y direction I can measure a distance, and in some z direction means inclination to the length 1, let us take this is length 2, and between these two with some inclination I got measuring another length, that is some L3. So measurement of horizontal distances or inclined distances over the surface of the ground with the help of a chain. So we call that particular type of survey is the chain survey, in which we measure only the distances. Okay. So next, compass surveying. So compass is an instrument which is useful to take the horizontal measurements. So horizontal measurement in the sense not the length and width and so on. Horizontal angular measurements. As I discussed in the earlier classes, during the definition of surveying, we have two different types of measurements, linear measurements and angular measurements. In that, to calculate or to measure the angular measurements, we use this particular compass survey. So compass is an instrument which is useful to measure the horizontal angles between any lines. For suppose if you want to measure the angle between these two lines, so we need to use the compass. Okay. So next, leveling, or we call an instrument named as level. So by use that level, so which is useful to measure the vertical distances, vertical heights of an object over the ground level, especially to determine the undulations. So here we are adding, so let me rub this half of the part. So I would like to explain here itself. First, chain surveying. So we are dealing with chain surveying. As I know, in the chain surveying, so it is possible to measure horizontal distances with the help of chains, and you can also measure the area by combining. First, suppose I am going to measure length of this particular line, then measure another length, 4 sides. Then with the help of this chain, we measure all the sides. After measuring the 4 sides of this particular square or any other object, you can calculate the area by applying the formula. Okay. So next, compass surveying, where we use an instrument called magnetic compass. Magnetic compass. So by using this magnetic compass, generally it has the divisions from 0 to 360 degrees. So 0 started at here and it is rotated up to 360 degrees. So with the help of this magnetic compass, we can measure. First of all, generally what we do is, first we coincide one of the line to the 0, then we calculate the angles in the clockwise direction. In the clockwise direction with reference to two individual lines which are joining at a constant point or common point. So this horizontal angle can be determined by using magnetic compass. So to measure these angles, we use compass surveying. So compass surveying is very, very important to form the traverse. I will tell you what is the traverse in the further classes. But now I am going to give some introduction. So while leveling, I am going to call regarding the leveling. So leveling is nothing but one type of survey where we use an instrument called a level. So by using this level instrument, what we do is we generally calculate the heights over the ground level. This level is really very, very important. At the same time, instead of calling to calculate the heights, generally as I told you, when we consider a ground is a flat surface, in no case a general ground level may not be exact flat. It may have some undulations at different. For example, this is the ground level. Let us consider it will be having some undulations like this. So if you want to know what is the height of a particular object and what is this undulation, what is this undulation on this ground level, what is the depth over here, what is the depth over here, what is the depth over here and over here. So the vertical, by fixing the level instrument at a particular position, you can see the height of the object at different locations, such that you can identify whether there is an embankment or whether there is a cutting. So we call this one as cutting, and here we call this one as embankment. So these undulations can be identified by using an instrument of level. So in these, to know the height of a particular object, we use a minor instrument, and that minor instrument is staff. We call that one as the leveling staff. We call that one as leveling staff. So next I am going to give you introduction regarding theodolite survey. Theodolite survey. So where theodolite is also one advanced equipment when compared to the compass. When compared to the compass. So where in that compass surveying we have measured only horizontal angles, but whereas in theodolite survey you can measure both horizontal and vertical angles. Means, for suppose I have a building here. Let us consider this is a building. Okay. So this is my ground level. My ground is located here. So now, as I told you in the last, so let us consider that this box is a top view of the ground. So now my building is located somewhere else here. So if you want to measure the horizontal angles, we are using compass here, theta. And now, in addition to the horizontal, where you want to measure the vertical angles, so there we use an instrument called theodolite, so which is useful to measure both horizontal and vertical angles. Means this will read the vertical angle, means that may be below the neutral line or above the neutral line. So we call this one as the datum line. I will tell you later all those things. So this vertical angle bounded between the base and top of the building can be identified or measured, as well as any horizontal angle bounded between any 2 points can be identified by using this theodolite. So here, by using theodolite, you can measure heights of an object. Okay. So any particular building, if you want to calculate the building height, for suppose let us take this is 10 floors of height, there may be no possibility to go for calculation of distance, vertical distance with the help of chine. So there what we do is by calculating this particular vertical angle and the distance bounded between the instrument and the building base. So you know the distance and you know the angle, so therefore automatically you can calculate hypotenuse, height and so on by using Pythagoras theorem. So with the help of that we can measure the heights of an object in theodolite. So next we have tachyometric surveying, so in which we use an instrument called tachyometer. So in this tachyometer, what we do is, tachyometer is nothing but a leveling instrument, but which involves in the calculation of both horizontal and vertical distance. Involves in the calculation of or in the measure of both horizontal and vertical distances with the help of constants. And we call the constants as tachyometric constants. Tachyometric constants. So this is regarding the tachyometric survey. Next, plane table survey, in which we use an equipment known as plane table. So we are in each and every different type of surveying, we will be having some different minor instruments involved. But see here, in plane table survey we have a plane table. So in this particular survey, this is different compared to the remaining types of surveys. So whatever the work that we done over the ground level or over the site, so that can be interpreted at a particular room, for suppose in the office. But whereas in this case, in case of plane table survey, this is mostly suitable for flat grounds, relatively flat grounds, relatively flat ground surfaces, relatively flat ground surfaces. And in this particular type of survey, we can do two things at a time. I would like to rough this particular portion. So involves in measurement of both the horizontal and vertical. So let me rough this particular portion. Yes. So see, I am going to explain this plane table survey over here. So in this plane table survey, we will be having one plane table. So let us consider this is a ground. So in this ground, at a particular station, we fix this particular table. So in this regard, both measurements and interpreting the measurements in a particular paper or in a particular sheet can be done at a time. Here, two things can be done at a time. First thing is measurement. And second one is plotting the measurements. In a drawing sheet can be done at a time. Okay, so that is why this is really very advanced one, especially which is applicable for relatively flat grounds only. Okay, next by using this particular type of survey, you can calculate the lengths, you can calculate the widths, and at the same time you can not the width, you can calculate the area of a particular closed traverse or open traverse. Okay, so this is really very important. Next, photogrammetry. So photogrammetry is one type of survey which is included in aerial survey, in which we are having satellites. With the help of satellites, generally what we do is we just take the photographs of the ground surfaces and ground features. So this is especially useful to prepare the topographical maps. Okay. So next we see electronic distance measurement survey, EDM survey. So where EDM survey, we are having a small remote sized electronic distance measurement. Let us take our mobile. So which produce some sensor light. So with the help of that particular light, we can measure the distance between any 2 points, especially the straight measurements. So not only the horizontal measurement, even this is really helpful to know the vertical heights of the building, horizontal distances. But electronic distance measurement devices, they are having their individual range. So different equipments, they have different ranges. Some may be range up to 15 meters, some may be range up to 1 kilometer, some may be range up to 2 kilometers they can measure. So each and individual electronic distance measurements have different ranges. So like that, with the help of the range, we just go to the calculation of horizontal distances and vertical distances of an object. So next, we have total station. Total station is advanced equipment, really very important. Nowadays, each and every surveyor, they are using total stations. Why? Because with the help of this total station, we can do multiple in a single attempt. For suppose, multiple reasons. For suppose, if you want to measure a particular length by using chain, you need to shift the position of chain holder from one position to another number of positions. So here, by fixing a total station at a particular location, you can measure the angles. You can take the horizontal angles, you can measure the vertical distances, heights, you can measure the horizontal distances, some horizontal distances at a time. At the same time, automatically, subsequently, all the data that what we are collecting on the site can be transformed into a soft data. In the sense, each and everything can be preserved in the machine, total station itself. Or you can transfer the data that what you got from the site can be transferred into the laptops or any equipment. Okay, so this is what we can learn in a single attempt. So multiples, theta, calculation of horizontal angle is different, calculation of horizontal distances and calculation of vertical heights, everything is different, but we are doing all these things in a single attempt with the help of total session. Not only that one, but also we have one advantage of transferring the data that what we have got at the site to the laptops or any system. Okay, so this is what the advantage of these particular different types of classifications which are based on instruments that we use. So I will discuss later detailedly when we come to the chain surveying, compass surveying and so on. But now we just go through the secondary divisions, that is why I am going to give you the introduction. So next we will see the classification. So now first we have discussed the classification based on the instruments. We have so many classifications, these are all based on the instruments. So now we will see the classification